Easy accountability. That's what we're going to talk about now. Many people think it's a lot harder than it is, and that it has to be more confrontational. The ones that are the most frustrated by it ask me, do I have to be mean? Do I have to yell at people if I'm just to get them to do what they're supposed to do? And I'm like, no, not at all. Your job is to help your people succeed. You want them to succeed. That's good for them. It's good for you. Accountability is no different. You want them to succeed. That's the mindset. All right, great. You're going to hold them accountable to what? Do they know, in fact, the elements of their job that they need to perform, the activities and results that are part of their job that would constitute a job well done? Well, typically jobs don't have that, or at least it's not explicitly listed. So the next step is, look, you want to hold somebody accountable, look at their job description, think about what they do, break their work down into its component parts, at least the major ones. 5, maybe too little, 10, 12, 15, whatever it is. Break it down to those component parts. Then think, what gets measured gets better. Then think measurement. How could I apply to measure to each of these component parts? Is it a frequency measure, a quantity? Is it a speed? Is it a quality measure? There's got to be some way to measure it. Think about that, and now you have this little matrix, and you go to the person, you say, look, I've been thinking about your job. I want you to be successful, and I thought the best way is to break your job down into component parts, and that we could track how you're doing on it, and what do you think of this breakdown? And so you talk with them about the breakdown, you kind of switch it around, massage it a little bit. You don't get too carried away because, hey, the job's the job. It has to get done. But nonetheless, okay, great. You accommodate a little bit. You set some targets, start setting some targets that you think are reasonable. And then you go, okay, let's give this a whirl. And so ideally, you would measure every week. Not everything happens every week, so you don't fill in that little box. But here you have on your spreadsheet, you have the element that you're holding them accountable for, the component of their job. Then you may have some goals and how you're going to measure. And then you have a bunch of blank columns, and each one is a week. And then for each of the components on the row, you put a score in. Right? Not that complicated. So you start scoring. And then every time you meet with them, ideally weekly for your one-to-one, whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes, you use that scorecard as the basis. That way, your conversation is data-driven. You're making a data-driven decision about whether they're doing a good job or not a good job in the breakdown of the components. So where they're doing a good job, hey, high five, that's awesome. Where they're struggling, what can we do? How can I help you? You ask them. You're there in a supportive role. I want you to be successful. And so you keep doing that, iterating this every week and finding areas where they're good and helping them get better. And then also where they're not so good and helping them and asking them to go find their resources so that they can get better at it. And that way, accountability, heck, you know if they're doing it or not. You know if they're doing it to standard or not. But you're sitting together on the same side of the table looking at the scorecard, just like a coach and a player will look at the stats after the game. They're not confrontational. They're not at odds. They both want the player to be successful. So they're looking at the status, numerically, data-driven, and they're strategizing together on how the player can do better. It's exactly the same with you. So that's it. Very easy to hold people accountable. It's fun, it's productive, and I encourage you to use this method.